At 24 years old, I tested positive for herpes. Up until that point, I thought I was confident. I believed I was confident because society said I was pretty. I believe I was confident because I had a desirable body. Becoming confident after testing positive for herpes. My name is Shayna Singleton. I've been a herpes advocate for the past 5 years. I have my bachelor's in food science and culinary arts, so I am a health and wellness chef as well as a certified wellness coach. Welcome to my channel. Now, who in here, who's watching, will consider themselves a confident person? Is it you? I'm guessing that you decided to watch this video because you probably test positive for herpes and lost your confidence completely. So that brings me to the term false confidence. What comes to your mind when you think of the term false confidence? Well, I want to just start with the definition of confidence first, right? Confidence means feeling certain about the truth of something or having self-assurance rooted in your appreciation of your abilities or qualities. Now, for me, false confidence was when I relied on external approval, society's validations, and the opinions of my loved ones to feel comfortable in my skin. All right? So here's my journey with false confidence. At 24 years old, I tested positive for herpes. Up until that point, I thought I was confident. I believed I was confident because society said I was pretty. I believe I was confident because I had a desirable body. Personally, I'm for Black men. I have a big booty. Black men love big booties. That was my mindset, right? Then I believe I was confident because I earned a bachelor's degree, making my family proud. I believe I was confident because I had a promising career in the military. I mean, my resume was A1. Before I got my bachelor's degree in food science and culinary arts, I had my bachelor's degree in criminal justice. I was a military police officer in the Army. And on my way out, I was leaving a protective service unit. I was good, at least I thought. Then when it came to my herpes diagnosis, suddenly that confidence vanished, left the door. Why? Because my confidence was never real. It was based on external validation, not an internal belief in my worth. After my diagnosis, I became my worst enemy. I told myself, Shayna, you're dirty, you're worthless, no one will ever want you, and you have bottom of the barrel cootie cat, if you know what I mean. I became my biggest hater. Let me restate that. I finally was able to see clearly who was the biggest bully in my life. And it was the person staring back at me in the mirror. And the day I tested positive for herpes was also the day I tested positive for pregnancy. I call it the 2-for-1 special. Thinking that they were both the worst things that could ever happen to me. But in hindsight, they became the catalyst for the best changes in my life. You see, all this time, I thought this diagnosis ruined my life, when in actuality, it wasn't herpes ruining my life. It was my knowing. Herpes was already there before I tested positive. That's exactly why I tested positive for herpes, right? Because it was there. So the only thing that changed when I tested positive for herpes was my knowing. It was my knowing that was ruining my life. The bully in the mirror. My knowing forced me to confront some truths. My confidence was tied to societal validation and not self-love. I didn't know who I was outside of the version I created to please others. I hated my natural hair. I hated my bare face and ultimately myself. My degree? It was to make my mom proud, not because it fulfilled me. My appearance? I used to straighten my hair and I used to wear makeup to fit the standard that I didn't believe in. Herpes brought all my insecurities to the surface. In 2017, I decided to make a vow. Everything that I've experienced is a reflection of how I loved or didn't love myself. And from that moment, I committed to loving myself a little bit more every single day. To do this, I had to confront some truths. I had to make some space. Have you ever heard of the saying, the things we hate, disdain, or dislike about ourselves were meant to teach us unconditional love? Let me say it one more time. The things we hate, disdain, or dislike about ourselves were meant to teach us unconditional love. I hated the skin I was in. I played victim. I was judgmental, insecure, unhealthy. I had an alcohol problem. I hated that I tested positive for herpes, and I hated my life. But once I was able to own these feelings, only then could I change them. You see, real confidence comes from knowing and liking who you are. And to get there, for me, I had to, one, face my insecurities. So if I hated my hair, guess what I did? I embraced my natural hair, even when it was hard. Even when I would look in the mirror and say, I hated this, I will force myself to go outside and wear my natural hair. I hated my bare face. I'm going to show you all some pictures, okay? I stopped wearing makeup for a whole entire year in order to make space for what I dislike, to learn how to love it. So even if I looked in the mirror and I hated the dark circles underneath my eyes and I hated the way I look without makeup, I still said, this year I'm not wearing makeup and I'm going outside without anyway, even if it makes me uncomfortable. Number two, I held myself accountable. Judge others? I used the moments where I found myself judging other people to reflect on the unhealed portions of myself. They say you can only judge something if it resonates. If it doesn't resonate, you can't judge it. All right. So how you judge others is how you secretly judge yourself. And you can use this as a guide to heal your wounds. Every time I would catch myself playing victim, pointing the finger, I had a friend, Euphoria. She used to say, every time you point the finger, you got 3 fingers pointing back at you. Pay attention to those 3 fingers pointing back at you. This is when I learned to turn every single victim story into a victor story. That is where my power is at. What in me invited this into my space? No one can make you feel away. You only allow them to make you feel away. And number 3, I had to change my habits. So one, I said I depend on alcohol. I was using alcohol as an escape, right? So what I did, I quit alcohol. And today I am over 6 years sober. 2, I affirmed myself consistently, even when I didn't believe it at first. I would go to the mirror and tell myself I was beautiful, even if I felt ugly. I would go to my mirror and uplift myself. Why? Because if I spend every day telling myself I'm dirty, I'm worthless, and no one's ever going to want me, if I could make time for that, I could make time to uplift myself and pour into myself. I deserve that from me. And if that's not a habit in my life right now, I'm going to do everything in my power to make it a habit in my life in the future. And that starts with being uncomfortable, going in the mirror and uplifting myself and saying some words of affirmation. It works. Through these small, uncomfortable steps, I built trust in myself. My journey to routinely fasting and eating healthy and living with unconditional self-love started with one choice: to stop loving myself only conditionally and learning how to love myself unconditionally. That one choice was a ripple effect. One choice to love myself changed everything. So my message is, don't wait for a crisis to confront the bully in the mirror. Go to that bully in the mirror and hug the bully. Forgive them. Get to know that bully. That is where true confidence begins. Thank you. If you're searching for herpes resources, please go to the link in my bio. I have a resource hub with safer intercourse after testing positive for herpes, how to disclose your herpes diagnosis, how to stop your outbreaks, how to learn your triggers and your prodromal symptoms, intro to gut health, how to heal the gut, anything that you could possibly be looking for herpes, from dating sites to the vaccines to information from over 35-year holistic wellness doctor, Denise Dukes, who has trained under Dr. Sebi at one point in her career, who offers a 90-day meal plan. I have an outbreak tracker. I have everything for you on our resource hub. So become a cousin. I do monthly live workshops. We do support group meetings every first and third Thursday of the month. I would love to see you all, and I would love to help you on your journey to building your confidence after testing positive for herpes.